Hi everybody, my name is Damian Haynes, and I said we get straight into it. So for today's kind of like news story, little podcast video, I didn't really want to do any of the news stories that's going around because one, everyone's talking about it, but two, I kind of wanted to build off what I was talking about yesterday with the introduction of RFK into the Trump administration, what the coalition could mean, and just kind of talk about government overreach and maybe just what we would frankly say is incompetence, right? So what I have is a story that's been kind of making the rounds, talking about 80,000 pounds of butter being recalled because it doesn't have a label stating that it contains milk. As for anyone who doesn't know, milk is used in a churning process to create butter, and that's how you get butter. You can have butter without milk. You can have fake butter substitutes, but they're not actually butter. In the same way that we wouldn't say that a Impossible patty is a burger patty. It's fake meat. It's not real butter if it doesn't contain milk. So I just want to kind of read this article, kind of walk you through this just ridiculousness of this whole situation, and then kind of mention a little bit about how important it is that we get people like Elon Musk and Vivek into the administration that we have now, right? So, getting into it, Costco customers with dairy allergies may need to check their fridge due to 80,000 pounds of the retailer's butter being recalled for packaging missing the contains milk statement, according to the U.S. Food and Drug Administration, FDA. The recall of 1,300 cases containing 79,200 pounds of butter was initiated on October 11th by a wholesaler in Littlefield, Texas, due to an undeclared allergen. FDA records show the allergen in the Kirkland Signature Unsalted Sweet Cream Butter, 46,800 pounds, and Kirkland Signature Salted Sweet Cream Butter, 32,400 pounds, was milk, the federal agency said. On November 7th, the recall was classified as a Class 2, meaning the use of or exposure to the butter may cause temporary or medically irreversible adverse health consequences. According to the FDA, the federal agency's records show that the butter was distributed throughout Texas, but which parts were not disclosed. It is unclear if any customers have suffered allergic reactions to the butter. Now, right? And that's kind of basically what it is. It's absurd. Like I said in the beginning, butter contains milk. You can't have butter without milk. You can't have a steak without a cow. There's no ifs, ands, or buts. You can't go up to a tree, cut it in half, and get a steak from it. You can't go up to a tree and churn it and get butter. You can have fake substitutes, but they're not actually butter. It'd be like margarine. Margarine. It's been such a long time since I've seen it in stores. But remember back in like the early 2000s that they had this fake butter substitute and then ended up giving a bunch of people heart attacks. But it wasn't called butter for a reason, right? It's the same reason like I can't believe it's not butter because it's not butter. They have butter in the name to try to associate itself with a butter substitute, but it clearly says I can't believe it's not butter. It's absurd. And this idea that there would be any reports of people suffering from allergic reaction from butter because they didn't have a label saying that it contains milk is another absurdity to it. Where, again, Costco as a company is wealthy, it's well off. Is this recall going to cost it absurd amount of money and put it under the margins it needs to be to stay profitable? No, it's going to be fine. The company's going to make it through this. This isn't nothing but a temporary setback. If anything, they can use it to write it off as in like under taxes or just it's nothing. Again, it's nothing. It's like you going to the store and buying I don't know, going to McDonald's and buying a just like a McDouble or whatever, right? Yeah, sure you notice it, but are you going to notice it at the end of the day when you're balancing your budget? No, it's not that big of a deal. But again, it brings into the fact that the government is absurd in its implementation of rules, and they don't protect us from actual things that matter, right? Hey, your butter doesn't contain the label milk. That's got to be recalled. That is a health risk. That's a class 2 health risk to this country, to the citizens of Texas, right? Hey, but you put in yellow 5, red 40, all those other chemicals. You're putting fluoride in baby water. That's a-okay, because that's not a class 2 allergen. That's not a class 2 health risk, right? It's absurd. And then you're getting these comments too on like X, and you see this from people like Elizabeth Warren, the fake Pocahontas. Again, like I'm basically 100% white, still less white than Elizabeth Warren. But that's beside the point, right? She's talking about how amazing a government agency set up for efficiency is, that it needs 2 heads of the agency for, right? But they're okay with this because this is clearly efficient and productive. And to bring up the point with like Doge real quick, and I know this is kind of off topic, but I think the reason Doge has 2 heads is that way Elon Musk isn't technically a head of a department, and he doesn't have to he doesn't have to divest from his companies or step back from his companies, and Vivek can stay in charge, and then Elon Musk picks up more of a advisory role. That's just going to be my hypothesis on it. I'm not really sure what the rules are on about that, but I know with certain government positions, you have to divest from companies and not take an active role in them. So, but anyway, right? It shows the importance of having people like Vivek, Elon Musk, people like RFK who actually want to clean up house and get rid of these inefficiencies, get rid of this bureaucratic nature of our country where we just have a Byzantine type bureaucracy where it just goes on and on and on and it never stops, right? So RFK's already said that he wants to get rid of 600 NIH employees and replace them with 600 new ones. Donald Trump has already said that he wants to fire a lot of employees, and you see that with stories coming out today in particular that a lot of DOJ employees are debating whether or not they're going to leave or stay. Many of them thinking they're going to leave because they're afraid they're going to get fired, or rightfully so, right? And then you have, again, the creation of Doge, the Department of Government Efficiency, with Vivek and Elon Musk, both people who have been proponents for the mass firing of government employees. And with Elon Musk in particular, he did mass firings at Twitter when he bought it and turned it into X, right? You can't make it up. You can't, if I was going to make up a story and say, hey, did you know the government revoked, the government had ordered a recall on pork because it didn't contain the label, may contain pork. And some people who are Muslims or Jewish or maybe be allergic weren't aware of it. And they didn't know, hey, my bacon contains pork. It's absurd. It is. It's completely absurd. But again, we can be with someone like the Democrats or what has been traditionally been the Republican Party and continue inflating and growing government overreach and not actually fixing issues like our healthcare, like with the chemicals and the fluoride and all the other BS they put into our food and our water. Or we could fire these worthless employees that make us recall butter because it doesn't say contain milk, and actually fix our healthcare and fix our food so that we're eating healthy things and are actually having an impact without inflating the government and making it bigger and bigger and less efficient. My opinion is frankly that it just goes to prove that we needed the Trump coalition. We need some kind of restructuring of our government. I would say firing a lot of people, bring back the common sense, right? Because if you're buying butter and then you're shocked that it contains milk and you're lactose intolerant or you have a worse allergen to it, that's on you. To be frank, you're not that bright, right? I'm allergic to cat. I'm not gonna be surprised if I go into some pet store and then there's cats all over the place and oh my god, I got some cat hairs on me. I'm having an allergic reaction. These things are a given, and I know for the most part I haven't been speaking well. I'm not the best speaker sometimes, and I'm getting better at it. Again, I want to point out doing this has been a learning experience, first of all, because it's really not that easy to talk to yourself for 10, 15 minutes and have it be a coherent thought or just be coherent in the first place. Yeah, a lot of times I feel like I'm talking like Kamala Harris, right? But if you're surprised by basic things, that's on you. You touch an electric fence that says, warning, you may be shocked. Yeah, that's on you. We shouldn't have these things where we're calling butter. We shouldn't have to have, a hotel shouldn't have to have labels that say, warning, do not stick toe in the faucet. We have all these absurd layers continuously being added. It's the same for like if you want to look at your Tylenol or all these other warning labels. Does it go on and on and on? Because they have to list all the things they're being sued for. The government requires all these BS while allowing you to, again, to give fluoride water to your children, to your babies. It affects their IQ. It makes them dumber. It is a well-studied fact. Or all this other chemicals they put into our food. Just go down a cereal aisle. Basically, all those foods that are marketed to children are full of junk and poison. They're going to give your kids cancer or affect their intelligence or affect their just overall growth along with hormones. And it's a wonder why we have all this transgender stuff, right? But hey, your milk, your milk and your butter, we have to make sure we label that correctly. You know, people may not know milk comes from cows. They might not know that butter is churned using milk. Again, anyway, that's kind of what I wanted to mention. I know it's kind of like an off-topic thing, especially with all the other big stories like Doge or the Department of Defense pick, right? But it kind of went in line with what I was talking about yesterday, and I just wanted to talk about something I was more comfortable talking about overall, and frankly, just talk about how absurd it is. So thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe if you're on YouTube. If you're on Rumble, please follow me and give me a thumbs up. And leave comments talking about all the other absurd things government does that are just pointless, because common sense should cover that in the first place. Anyway, see you guys tomorrow. Bye.